Welcome to GOS Media, and welcome to our special performance as we count down 12 days to Christmas. I'm your host, Josiah Kim. Today's Grain of Sugar is part 2 of a 12-part presentation by James Winter as he recites Charles Dickens' novel, A Christmas Carol. So gather the family together, grab some cocoa and cookies, sit back and enjoy the Christmas classic, A Christmas Carol.
At Scrooge's words, "I'll retire to Bedlam," the clerk, in letting Scrooge's nephew out, had let another in. He was a portly gentleman, pleasant to behold, and now stood with his hat off in Scrooge's office. He had books and papers in his hands, and bowed, saying, "Scrooge and Marley, I presume. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?"
"Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years, and he died 7 years ago this very night."
Well, we have no doubt that his liberality is well represented by his surviving partners. At the ominous word liberality, Scrooge frowned and shook his head, and handed the credentials back. "At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provisions for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are want of common comforts, sir."
"Are there no prisons?
"Plenty of prisons."
And the union workhouses? Are they still in operation?"
"Oh, they are still. I wish I could say they were not."
"The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor then?"
"Both very busy, sir."
I was afraid from what you had said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it."
Well, under the impression that they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the poor and multitude, a few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. What shall I put you down for?"
"Nothing."
"Oh, you wish to be anonymous?"
"I wish to be left alone." "Since you asked me what I wish, sir, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They certainly cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there."
"Oh, well, many can't go there, and many would rather die."
"If they would rather die, then they better do it, and decrease the surplus population. Besides, excuse me, I don't know that. It's not my business. Good afternoon."
Meanwhile, the fog and darkness thickened. The cold became intense, piercing, searching, biting cold. The owner of one scant young nose, gnawed by the hungry cold, stooped down at Scrooge's keyhole to regale him with the Christmas carol. But at the first sound of "God bless you, merry gentlemen," Scrooge seized a ruler with such energy of action that the singer fled in terror, leaving the keyhole to the fog and even more congenial frost. At length the hour of shutting up the counting-house arrived. With an ill will, Scrooge dismounted from his stool and tacitly admitted to the fact to the expectant Bob Cratchit, who instantly snuffed his candle out and put on his hat.
"You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose?"
If quite convenient, sir."
"It's not convenient, and it's not fair. If I was to stop half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'm bound. And yet you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work."
It's only once a year, sir."
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Ugh. Be here all the earlier the next morning.
Oh, yes, sir, I will, sir. Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in the usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. They were a gloomy suite of rooms with a lowering pile of building up a yard. It was old enough now, and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its very stone, was fain to grope his hands. The fog and frost hung about the black and old gateway. Now, there was nothing particular about the knocker on the door, except that it was very large. Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residency there. Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not withstood one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon. And then let any man explain how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock, saw in the knocker not a knocker, but Marley's face. Marley's face. It had a dismal light about it, like a bad lobster in the dark cellar. It looked at Scrooge as Marley used to look, with ghostly spectacles turned up on its ghostly forehead. The hair was curiously stirred, as if by breath or hot air. The eyes were wide opened, perfectly motionless. That, and its livid colour, made it horrible. As Scrooge looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it was a knocker again. To say that he was not startled would be untrue. But he put his hand upon the key, turned it steadily, walked in, and lighted his candle. He did pause before he shut the door and looked cautiously behind it first, half expecting to see Marley's pigtails sticking out into the hall. But there was nothing. So he said, "Pooh! Ha! Humbug!"
Thank you for tuning in to today's presentation. We hope you will like and share today's video. Be sure to come back tomorrow for the continuing saga of Old Man Scrooge. Need something unique for the person who has everything? Visit our merch store on the website. We have some great discounts going on through Christmas Day. Thanks again for watching. And how about leaving some comments letting James Winter know what you think of his rendition? We will see you tomorrow for the next episode. I've been your host, Josiah Kim.